All right, today we coming to you with another episode of Auto Glass Tech Talk, and we taking it to the great state of Washington, right? We're going to Pasco, Washington, right? I think I know where it's at, but I really don't know where it's at. So we got the champ with us. We got Matt Kurbo. Y'all know him from the winner of the Auto Glass competition from a long time ago. I think it was a couple years back or 2019. But
2019 and 21.
there we go. So, brother, what's good? How you feeling and how's it going?
Good
It's
morning.
going good, man.
There you go. So first question, where is Pasco, Washington?
Eastern Washington. So we're like southeastern Washington, about 3 hours from Seattle, 3 hours from Portland.
Okay. So I was gonna throw that all the way off. I was gonna be like, oh, this is a suburb of Seattle, man. We're ways away.
I think
No,
he's a little
we're
in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Seattle.
There we go.
You're in the country of Washington.
Yeah, in the desert.
The desert, okay.
Okay. I should know that. I lived in Oregon for a couple years, but hey, I went up to Washington maybe a couple times, but I always knew that was the state of apples. So did you grow up like eating apples and shit, or what?
Not as many as everybody else.
There you go. So I got a question for you, brother. I just seen they released the prize money for the auto glass competition, right? So they've been talking about all that coming up in September for Auto Glass Week and for the competitions from repair, customer service, replacements, and calibration. So I had a question for you, like mentally, like when you got ready to do this in 2019, like what made you say, I want to do this? And how did you prepare mentally, like after you made the commitment that I'm going to do this? You know what I mean?
Mm. So I originally did the same thing that everybody else does, which is wait till the last minute, and
Okay.
then think I had it all in the bag. And then I had a visit from Dave Higginbottom. So I don't know anybody. Some of you guys know who Dave Higginbottom is.
Oh, geez.
He's one of the originals. He's awesome. He used to work for XRP. He was my sales rep, and he had this really funny thing that he would do. He would show up, and he would just say, "You can't do that."
Mhm.
He wouldn't tell you what you can do. He would just tell you, "You can't do that."
Right.
And so he walked in and looked over my whole routine and everything I was doing. He was like, "You can't do that.
Mhm.
You can't do that. You can't do that." And I'm like, "Oh, well, shit. I got to completely relearn how to do what my job is before I go." And that was at like the 3-month mark beforehand.
Mhm.
So then I just had to kind of start over again. I mean, so everybody knows, like at that point this was, oh gosh, this was summer of 2019. So this was 3 months leading up to it. I was still trimming and then wiping. So I wasn't pre-cleaning my urethane. I was using washable towels at the time to prep
Mhm.
my pinch welds. Everything we now know is the wrong way to do it. I was doing
Right.
it outside of shooting round beads and stuffing windows. I at least had that part figured out, thank
Right.
God. But everything else, the whole cleaning process, it was shit. So I had to kind of relearn how to do it.
Mhm.
And that was the fun part, was having to figure out how to do
Mhm.
all that thing. There's some good YouTube videos that I could watch, like Alfredo Calva's channel was awesome because
Mhm.
I had stole his cleaning process for the pinch weld, and I've never gone back, so
Right.
it was fun.
There you go. So
That's
preparing,
fun.
you just start preparing, relearning things. So a lot of people is, I guess it would be figure your process out, but also find someone to talk to or get online, see what you're doing right, wrong, whatever, and then just practice and just go through it. Repetition, basically.
Yeah, repetition. The key for me that I think a lot of guys miss is what they end up doing is they say, "Okay, well, I need to do this for Auto Glass Week, and that's what I'm gonna do just for Auto Glass Week," right? So
Right.
they might practice for Auto Glass Week, but what they'll do is it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna practice on this car for Auto Glass
Mhm.
Week." So what I ended up doing is when I learned that I was doing it the wrong way, I changed the way that I did it entirely.
Right.
So, for me, and Chris, I know you've got videos that you took that are on your YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff of like the finals and all that kind of stuff. What I do and what I did when I was competing, that was what I did on every single car. It didn't matter if the
Mhm.
car smelled like
Yes.
ass or if the car
Mhm.
was a Mercedes. Like I did it
Right.
exactly that same way, because that's just how I install, and that's what
Mhm.
I switched over to. And that for me was key because what ends up happening, we see it a lot. Like last year, I judged for repair, and
Mhm.
what you end up seeing a lot with competitors is you can tell the ones who do it like that every single day, and you could tell the guys that are only doing it for the competition. And when
Right.
you're only doing competition, you have to be in a completely different mental place, whether or versus just like coming in and saying, "This is what I do, and this is how I do it." So, like I didn't change anything up. I mean, everything from the customer service perspective of it to like actually how I installed it, it was exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I didn't have to think in the moment of, oh, I got to remember to do this one thing. It was repetition by that point because it was just ingrained and it was built in with everything.
Yeah. Nah, that makes sense, man. Like muscle memory, and if you're doing the
Yeah.
same thing, you ain't got to think. So it's just do your job because it's what you always do. So those two good points that you dropped right there. Just get your routine, whatever your routine is, do it, but just keep doing it. If you do it every single day, you're gonna be solid.
Mhm.
You know, I think that was, like, a really controversial thing for that year because nobody believed that you were legitly, like, doing this every job, every time, the same way.
Mhm.
Like, dude, he's a machine, you gotta be in that mindset, that mode, though, and really,
Mhm.
especially with 3 months, I mean, you really seriously gotta, like, dial yourself in.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there
And
you.
that was, oh, go ahead, buddy.
Oh no, I was saying that's the thing. Like I said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right? So if you're
Yeah.
doing this every
Right.
single day, you're gonna be good. So that's good advice to get to anybody, regardless of what competition you're gonna get in. If you dial in your routine and just keep doing it, but at the same time, if you know this is the right way to do it, why not do it the right way every time? And I always
Mhm.
remember this quote. I don't even know who made the quote, but it's like, what do you do when no one else is looking, right? And
Mm.
so
Yep.
just do it that way. Like I said, regardless of what if it's right or wrong, it's your routine, it's the way you do it. Just do it, and you should be pretty good with the repetition.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So cool. I got another question for you. Sorry, I got a bunch of questions I'm asking you, right? So when you did the competition, right? I saw you had a little bit of a different, like you see a lot of people with hood protectors, fender protectors, and all that type stuff. But you had your own setup, man. You had these, and I think they was called Kurbo covers, right?
Yep.
Or maybe they didn't have a name when you did the competition, but I now know them as Kurbo covers. So, like,
Mhm.
I remember this cool part about it I'd never seen before. They had like pockets on the side
Yep.
of them. So, like,
Yep.
tell me more about like the covers and how that all came about.
So about a year before the competition, I started
Mhm,
trying to figure out a better way to protect the vehicle because I got really tired of, throwing moving blankets around because it just, they work. They're fine.
mhm,
Anybody that's out there doing it, like it's better than nothing. But, I do a lot of classic cars. I do a lot of high end cars when I'm
mhm,
when I'm installing. So, when you got a moving blanket, it kind of it's another hurdle to have to overcome with the customer. You know what I mean? So I was trying to figure out something better. After researching and trying to figure out something and trying to find different ways of doing it, I couldn't really find anything that I was wanting to do. So
right,
I said, screw it. I know how to sew. I'll make them myself.
right,
So the set that you guys saw at Auto Glass Week in 2019, that was the fourth iteration that I
mhm,
had come up. The first one looked like a freaking N95 mask wrapped around the front of the car. It looked ridiculous. It was terrible.
right,
And I started kind of tweaking it and changing it and saying, okay, how can I do like little things like hide the magnets that are in there and all that kind of stuff. And it's
mhm,
actually where the pockets came from. Was
okay,
I originally do pockets, but then I was like, I don't want to see the stitching from the magnet because I think that looks tacky. So I'm gonna put pockets on there because the pockets will hide the bottom magnets, and then, I
mhm,
built a fancy seam on the top to do
mhm,
that stuff. And, like, by the third iteration, I was starting to do, like, double seams on the edging so it wouldn't tear on me or pull apart or anything like that, and then I finally have my polished version that I took to Auto Glass Week,
okay,
but, born out of necessity and the
yeah,
fact that I'm an actress. So it
yeah,
was
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I like that. I like an item that's by a technician for technicians because you're making it with the technician in mind versus, you see
Yep,
some random stuff on Amazon, some random person making something. They not a
yep,
technician. They like this is a need. I want to make this, but they just copying something, but they don't understand it from a technician standpoint. So like when people talk about things, like even with Drift, like when he talk about things and you're hearing it from a technician's point of view,
Mhm.
and it just makes more sense. And it's just like I get it because they get it, you know what I mean? And they know how to
Yeah.
really truly use it and what's it for, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a big part for me is it needed to be easy to use and something
Mhm.
that was, like, quick because a lot of guys, they're not especially in our industry, and I fall into this too, is, like, if it takes me more than 5 minutes, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Like, there's no way. We already don't get paid enough to do what we do anyway, especially on the consumer side, so when you're asking somebody to spend an extra 10 minutes on something, that's a big ask. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
As it's for. So everything that we do, it's got to be geared towards speed and efficiency because the quicker we can be, the more money we can ultimately make. But we want to be safe and we want to be professional, and that's kind of why that kind of ended up coming in the way that it did. So that's part of why the
Mhm.
front cover goes all the way from driver's side mirror to passenger side mirror, wraps around the whole front of the vehicle. Because I'm like, I want to protect the whole thing, but I ain't gonna put on 3 different covers. That's just ridiculous.
Right, right.
Yep.
Yeah. Nah, that makes sense.
Brilliant.
That one little piece right there is like what you just
Mhm,
said. The average person wouldn't get that part, but being a technician gets like,
mhm,
hey, I don't want 3 covers, I want
mhm.
1 cover. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
cool. Also on your covers, I saw you had logos on them. So and I
Mhm.
know when you can customize them and all that a little bit because you brought they're back, right? You back doing the covers and stuff?
Yeah, we're finally back. We took a small hiatus because we kind of transferred into more of a corporate role with the company that we're with,
Mhm.
and because of that, it had a lot more pressure and a lot more stuff that we were doing, lots of traveling, that kind of stuff. But that's kind of tamped down a little bit now, so I'm back to it because something that ironically enough, I never originally wanted to sell them, and I
Mhm.
kinda got talked into it, and then once we started actually getting them out in the industry, I realized the need that was there,
Mhm.
and I never really wanted to abandon it full blow, so I was like, I gotta get back into this, especially now because our industry tends to breed copycats,
Yeah.
and what I see happen is, somebody come in, rip off my design, make it half the
Yeah.
quality that mine is, and then sell it to technicians because, as techs, we need something out there,
Yeah.
and it really sucks when somebody sells us some shit that we
Right.
need. It's absolute shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
100%.
Yeah.
it just sucks. And there's already tons of companies out there doing that to us, and it frankly, it's gotta stop. And it
Yeah.
won't stop until the ones that actually, create the stuff stand up and say, "Okay, enough's enough. It's time for us to actually start producing and doing it right." Kinda like, ProSet,
Yeah.
one of my
Mhm.
favorite is. You know what I mean? At a certain point, they had to say, we need to do a better job of getting this thing out there before
Yeah.
somebody rips it. Just God, nobody ripped that one off yet. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, it's happened with everything. Pipe
Yeah.
knife, I've had, like, I've had 4 different tools get ripped off so
Right.
far.
Yeah.
And,
Often imitated but never duplicated. But people see things and they like, hey, let me make this
That's right.
and like the
yep,
uneducated person is just go on Amazon and they'll buy a duplicate or whatever and just like, well, all I saw was price or it say they copy and paste your whole description and they put it on there, then you get it. You like, damn, that's a bait and switch. They got me to buy this, but it ain't what
yep.
I thought it was. So I think you're right. You spot on that. Like so much shit gets knocked off these days. So appreciate you for bringing it back and actually, like explaining that because a lot of people, might not even really know that. So if someone's trying to get the Kurbo covers, what can they find y'all at? And how does that all
Facebook.
look like? Facebook? Okay.
They can hit us up on Facebook. That's what we're still selling through. Eventually, I'd like to have a website.
Mhm.
I'm trying to partner with some other people right now. I don't know if they're ready to say anything yet, but I want to partner with some other people to kind of get everything out there and get some different avenues for people to get it.
Okay.
Um, but that's kind of where we're at. My favorite one is this cool little place in Texas. Used to.
I think there should be something up there pretty soon for people to go check out some pictures, and maybe possibly buy off of the
Yeah.
site
That for
there.
everyone listening is called foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing. You got to manifest and speak it into existence, man.
That's right. That's right. Okay, I do wanna say something on your quality, though, of the covers because, I personally, I never got to get a set at the time when you were doing them all, but, my good friend Jeff, he has a set, and I have used them and worked with them and seen them in person, and, the quality is unmatched, I think. I don't think there's ever been a cover that is that clean and, just that simple to use, right? It's like you said, you go on Amazon and you try and buy a couple covers. I've bought so many different sets of
Yeah.
covers over the years, and it gets annoying when you throw a fender on. You got to throw a bumper on. You got to throw another fender on. You're like, dude, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm just
Mhm.
not putting these things on. Just throw the blanket over the whole thing again.
Yeah.
But the quality is unmatched. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just so everybody knows, I actually make them myself. Like every piece is handmade, so it's sounds weird to say that, honestly,
Mhm.
but like there's a lot of time in these things. I mean, it's a full, just the fender cover, start to finish. If I do it in one sitting, it takes a full day. And when I say a full day, it's like an 8 to 10 hour day,
Mhm.
all the way to stopping, because it's a lot of stitching. It's a lot of cutting and patterning and all that kind of stuff to make sure they get it right. Because I'm a perfectionist and
Yeah.
I like to make everything out there is right and proper. And actually, it's funny you mentioned Jeff. He's actually the first person I ever sent a set to, and that was
Mhm.
before I
Yeah.
was changing them. That's actually what got me to start making them and
Mhm.
selling them to people. Because I wasn't going to. Jeff just reached out and said, "Hey, I like your covers you use. Where'd you get them?" And then I
Mhm.
told him and convinced me to make him some and send them up to him. So
Nah, there you
He can
go.
do that sometimes.
All right. So talking about the covers and Auto Glass Week, right? One, will you be at Auto Glass Week? And two, if you are there, can you bring some covers so people can see them, or will the covers be at Auto Glass Week?
So, yeah, I'm gonna be at Auto Glass Week again this year. They actually asked me to judge 4 replacements this year, so that's gonna be fun.
Okay.
So I'll be one of the guys in a lab coat up
Yeah.
there trying to straight face and throw people off. Try to do as good as I can now that Bob's not judging anymore. So I gotta try and step it up because, Bob, for anybody that competed over Bob, Bob had the best poker face, man. You look over at Bob and you're like, "Oh, I just effed something up. I'm
Mhm.
screwed." Like, there's
Yeah.
you could be the greatest song in the world, and to him, his face said, "Oh, you're a piece of shit. You suck."
Right.
He was stone cold the whole way
Right.
through. Not a
Fine.
smile, not a smirk.
Yep. Yep. So I'll do what I can't do. I get a pretty good at angry face when I want to, so I can let the Irish in me out a little bit and let it kinda create. But yeah, no, I'll be there.
Uh-huh.
I know that the company I'm working for right now, we've got a guy that's gonna be competing this year,
Okay.
so that's gonna be fun. We haven't officially announced that yet, but
Mhm.
that'll be pretty cool. So, he's actually one of the guys that I trained, so
Okay.
we'll see how he does.
There you go.
So that'll be interesting too, because since I'm judging, like, that we actually have rules in there
Mm,
for that, just
mm,
so everybody knows. Like, if you've got somebody that you know personally at
mhm.
all, like,
Can't
we
judge
actually
him.
wow, you can't judge them. You
Right.
don't
Yeah.
have a say. You're completely separated from that individual, even to the point on the floor, like, you don't even pay attention to them. You move away and you do that because we're such a small industry. There's no way you can have people judging and not have them know somebody that's in the competition. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no,
Again, a
I
bias.
judged long time ago when it was with the repair, and if anyone was to use
Yeah.
our repair equipment, I wouldn't judge them. But when the people they just see a judge, they be like, "Oh, you know them and you know that," but they don't understand the ins and outs of judging. So appreciate you for bringing that point up because people watch the judges and be forming all kinds of bullshit in their mind, but in
Yeah, you do.
reality,
Mhm.
it's dialed in that the judge they got it dialed in right. Because to your point,
Well,
it
and that's
is a
funny.
very small industry.
Well, it's funny because last year I judged repairs. Like, that was
Mhm.
my first time into this, was judging repairs. And, repairs are an interesting one because, like, even with their on the replacement side with all of it, right? Like, we look at it and we're like, "Oh, that person's the best technician," but that's not what we're judging. Like, we're judging the best all-around auto glass technician. That means how you are with your customers. That
Right.
means how you take care of your job and how you finish out, and I can tell you, like, it's amazing the level, like, in the repair side. I know that there are certain things like, 'cause repair is like a snowflake, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's no 2 repairs alike. No matter how much we try to make them all
Yeah.
exactly the same, they're all gonna be different. So,
Right.
we have to take that into consideration. So, when we're judging, like, you might see somebody might take a look and take pictures of the after product and be like, "Oh, this one was the best one they should have won." It's like, actually, yours was that one that was pictured that looked the best, that was the easiest repair of the day. This
Right.
other one that may not have been the better looking end product was the worst repair,
Right.
and that technician may have taken extra steps that no one else would have taken to finish that repair in a way that made it look even better, which is why
Right.
they got the points that they got, versus the
Yeah.
easiest repair of the day, you could have just been like, "Yeah, I'm good. This is good enough," and then walked off and not really cared to finish it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
so, like, kinda stuff kinda comes into play with it that people don't realize, and, you kinda have to look at everything through a new lens because it's not the same as just, like, at least with auto glass, it's like, did you scratch the car or not? Like, if
right.
you're replacing with repairs, man, it's you gotta take a little bit of artistry into it, which is
Yeah,
weird.
I think
yeah,
so. Something that threw me off too was when, the first time I seen after the repair con and they're going around and pressing on the repairs, really pushing on them to see
mhm,
if they crack out or not, and I
Mhm.
think a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, you gotta have a really solid repair for it to
yeah,
not crack out when they're pressing on that. They're putting some good pressure too.
yeah, yeah. Nah,
Yeah.
they can't. They try to crack them out, but also it's like if you're doing a repair, you can heat it, and when they finish, they looking at it, they just like, oh, it looks great. But when they come back and give it time to cool down, just in case it was heated, now you can be like, oh, this shit full of air. You know what I mean? So you're right. It
Yep.
is a lot that goes into the repair part, and the degree of difficulty on the kind of repairs you get is
Yep.
different because it's tough to make damage consistently the same. You can get a star break, but even with you got 5 star breaks here, all the star breaks aren't the same. So it is a lot that goes into doing repairs, judging repairs, and all that little bit. So shout out to everybody who judging, regardless of what competition is, because judging is extremely hard when doing it. But also shout out to all the technicians that are looking to get involved in the competitions. I always give everybody a shout out who competing because it takes a lot
Mhm.
to say, I want to do this. I'm gonna go do this. The mental
Yep.
side of it, and then just the part of actually doing it when the lights are bright. You got a bunch of people watching you, bunch of people second guessing shit. Everybody on the outside, everybody on the sideline, like saying you did this wrong, you did that wrong, but they don't always have the courage to get in there and do it themselves. But they be the ones quick to critique you. So shout out to
Oh,
all
yeah.
the technicians who doing it. And my bit of advice to anybody, whatever event you're competing in, block out the noise. Just trust your
Yep.
process and do your thing and
Yes.
block the noise out.
I'd say,
Yep.
yep, you
100.
got the same thing. You gotta have a lot of courage and heart to get up there,
Mhm.
definitely, props to anyone who competes. It's not easy, you can have a customer watching you in the driveway, but when you got, 100 people
Yep.
around you, it's a different world.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one tip I'll give to anybody that's competing out there, like, real tip is focus on your proctor. That is your customer. That is the most
Yeah.
important person on that floor. Don't look at anybody in the crowd. Don't look at the judges. Look at your proctor. Give them all the care and attention you would if that was, like you said, Drift, just a guy in a lawn chair watching you do your job because they're curious. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest miss that I tend to see when, through all the years of competing and then just going back and watching is, how many guys lose the touch of the fact that this is your customer, treat them
Right.
like your customer, and frankly,
Yep.
show off, man. Like, what we do is
Yeah.
pretty cool. Most people, like, most
Oh,
customers for anybody out there, like, like, we all know this is true. Most customers think that what we do is pretty cool. So
yeah.
think it's cool yourself. Like, I know, like, in the company I work for now, I actually get the pleasure of working with James Chapman now. James Chapman
Mm,
came and joined our company. He's our
mhm.
national trainer now, and it's pretty cool because he and I both have the same mission. That's at the end of the day, we're all technicians. We're not
Yeah.
installers. We do
Yeah.
matters, and what we do takes a lot of training and a lot of time to perfect. And our industry doesn't respect us because we don't respect ourselves. So
Right.
until we take a look at ourselves and say we're worthy of respect and doing what we do, then no one else is going to treat us that way. And I mean, you guys have seen it. We go to the Auto Glass Week, and this always frustrated me. You look at the tin side, and those guys walk around like they're big dicks in a locker room,
Right.
and like, dude, you're tinting freaking windows. Like,
Right.
we're dealing with structural integrity of a friggin' vehicle, but right? So with
Yeah.
respect because what they do is cool. What we
Yeah.
do is
They're
incorrect,
just yeah,
Yeah.
good.
right? Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're out there, tuck your damn shirt in. Be
Yeah.
professional.
Right.
Yep.
Nah, you said something that like it's and James Chapman do this a lot. He talk about self-worth and he got the shirts and
Mhm.
hoodies they be having, but self-worth,
Yep.
like know your worth, but also this is your moment to talk that talk, right? So it's the proctor, that's your customer. Like tell him all this, this is your moment to tell him what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how this is gonna help him. All the tidbits of what you got going on. This is your moment to like take it all in, talk that talk, you know what I mean? Let them know what you're doing and be excited, be proud about what you do, be proud about the industry because I look at it this way, like you said, it's hard work to do repairs, replacements, all that type stuff, right? And most people come to you, especially with replacements, they can't do that shit themselves. That's
Yep.
why they're coming to you. So understand they're coming to you because you're able to offer something they can't do on their own. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You are a rock star.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the things too, you know, like, what's funny is kinda going back to what I was saying before of treat it like you treat it every single day, right? If you're out there and you're looking to compete and you're looking to do stuff, 1, don't change up your routine, but 2, don't feel like you have to spend like, one of the things that I see hugely on the repair side, ironically enough, not as much on on the replacement side, but I do see it, is
Mhm.
a lot of wasted time expositionally. So,
Yeah.
like, if you've ever seen a bad movie and you can't figure out why it's a bad movie, it's because the movie spent all of its time explaining the movie to you and not actually showing you the movie, right?
Right.
When in the competitions, what a lot of techs do. So they'll stop through and they'll spend 20 minutes explaining to the customer how they're going to replace their windshield or do their repair. And I'm like, just start the freaking job and
Right.
explain as you go. Like it's the same
Right.
thing, but you can actually show them instead of like wasting all your time talking. It's
Yeah.
crazy to me how you guys do that.
Yeah,
But
nah, you're right, man. Set the expectation. Hey, here's what's gonna happen with windshield repair. Here's what I'm finna do. Boom. Let's get to fucking work, man. Like, let's not just be, hey, this is step one. Hey, this is
Lollygagging.
step two. You know what I mean? Like, just explain it, set the expectation, and get to work.
yeah, there's a it's funny, like, dude, like I've seen guys like with diagrams and all kinds of stuff, and it's like there's no points in there. There's no
Yeah.
points in there. You ain't doing that for your customers at home, so don't bother. Like,
Yeah, no
just
point in
Yeah.
doing it here. Yeah, you get the same points. Did they set the expectation? Did they explain the windshield repair process? Yes or no? Going and all that other shit, like here's a diagram, here's this, here's
yep.
that. Hey, you
Mhm.
get the same point as the person who just explained it. So you're right. Do your thing and don't do the overkill. Just get to it and do your thing, man. I see that and notice that a lot because our booth at the trade show is typically across from the repairs, and so
Yep.
we looking and every year you see something new, you be like, damn, I ain't never seen nobody do that one before. But a lot of people they focus on like explaining or doing a bunch of shit that has nothing to do with the repair. But you're right, man. Just get to work. You know.
Mhm.
Yep. Just do it
Yeah.
like you do, with a little
Yep.
extra sauce on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do. I tried to, add something every year that I competed. So, like, the first year, of course, was just my first year, right? I had the covers, I had all that kind of stuff. Shit, even my toolbox was overdone. That was that year that I brought the toolbox where you expand it open, and then I had, like, custom-made tool rolls that unraveled on the sides and had all my tools in it. It was
Mhm.
actually my favorite setup that I
Mhm.
had at the time, but, as I adapted through, I think, 2nd year yeah, 2nd year, I had the bin that held all my stuff that I hung on the stand, so I had this bin that hung on the stand, and it held my suction cups, my cleaners, all
Mhm.
nitrile gloves, I had my roll of paper towels, and I did that for the last 2 years. And then the last year, I came in and actually built a custom tool roll that was a light rack that connected to my actual glass stand. So I could open my glass stand up, unroll it out, hook up an M12 battery to it, flip a switch, and then I had a light rack to inspect my glass built into
Yeah.
my glass stand. So that's always fun.
Yeah.
And then
Now
Okay,
that's
real quick, while we're on this subject, right? What what was the point difference in that last year there? I wanna put that out there because that was almost 3 in a row, 3 in
Mhm.
a row, people. Like, I don't think people understand that that was almost 3 in a row.
Yep. Yep. That was yeah, that was I believe that was Alfredo's second win for auto glass replacement. And yeah, 3 for me, 3 in a row for had I had 1. Honestly though, if I said this before, if I could have lost anybody, I'm glad it was Alfredo. Because Alfredo's
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
one of the best guys ever. Like I love Alfredo. He's awesome.
Right.
Like it to answer your question, it was 3 points. 3-point difference. And the 3 points was so what a lot of guys don't realize um, and you can when you read through your stuff, it tells you what they judge on and how they judge, just not specifically, right? It's like you
Right.
read through your back you missed. Um, and that last year it was 3 points, and the 3 points, I know exactly what it was, and it was my own fault. So it
Mhm.
wasn't like what's funny is whenever you have to just say it like it is, and you have like this Clash of the Titans kind of a battle, right? Like 2 guys who were at the top of their game fighting each other. It's very rarely that they both come out and compete at 100%.
Right.
Someone's
Yeah.
always gonna make a mistake, 'cause that like, at that point, you can look throughout all of, like, all sports, everything like that, right? Most of the time, it's not because it's not 'cause both people came out and gave 100% and one was just that much better. It's usually somebody makes a mistake,
Right.
and that
Yeah.
mistake for me, my mistake was not dating my freaking primer.
Mm.
So, didn't date the bottom of my open primer bottle, and what's stupid is because I don't, like, especially in the competition, I like to make sure that everything is exactly the same. I don't reuse. So, a lot of guys will just reuse the primer they had in the first round because it's still good. I opened a new bottle. So,
Mhm.
I opened a bottle, and then I didn't date that new bottle,
Damn.
and, yeah, it sucked. I pointed out to the judge, I didn't date this and all that kind of stuff, and it was totally my fault. That wasn't
Mhm.
it. I kind of made a stupid mistake in it, and it had I have dated my primer, we would have tied
Mm.
and would have gone down to time,
You're right.
and that would have been fun. So it
Yeah.
would have been interesting, but yeah, it was
That was definitely like a battle,
Yeah.
the 2 top guys there. I mean,
Yeah.
that was just head to head, and that's all it comes down to sometimes, just a couple little points.
Yeah, it's always that one little thing, and you're right. Like everybody, when you take a boxing match and all that, it's always gonna be something.
yep,
But going back and forth. But at least knowing what you did, I know it sucks when you're like, man, I could have had a three-peat, lost it by 3 points. But at the same time, it is what it is. And you
Yep.
still known as like what you've done. No one is done. You know what I mean? As far
Yes.
as like that. So shout out to you for like wanting to do something, but also like taking the knowledge that comes in to then master it and want to master it and keep getting better. You always hear the thing like get 1% better every day. But
yep,
like,
Yep.
shout out to you, man. You're a testament of that. Like to go back and keep doing it and doing it. And it's just not you when you do it. I look at like your wife got in the event and
mhm,
like her wanting to
yeah,
do it. So it's like, iron
Mhm.
sharpens iron, with the two of y'all, like, hey, we doing this and we like raising the bar. Like, this is not
mhm,
just an individual thing. Like our household, we get busy and we take it serious. We trying to master the craft and
yep,
want to be the best and we gonna show you we the best. You know what I mean? So like shout out to you and your wife for that. Cause like that's the thing that a lot of people really, like they want to do things, but they don't want to put the time into it to get to where you ultimately need to be
yep.
to really perfect it. So,
Yeah, well, and a big
Yep.
part of that too is self-reflection when you're done. Like that's the thing too. One of the things it's ironic because James and I actually have a podcast we do intercompany for our company Speedy Glass that we do, and we just had Bob on there, and we were
mhm,
actually just talking about this because one of the things that is permeating our industry right now that a lot of guys don't do is they don't self-reflect when they make a mistake.
yeah,
It's
Mhm.
always I mean, dude, we see it time and time again on the Facebook page, dude. Like, you're on Facebook and somebody's like, "Oh, this stupid wire tool cut the pinch weld." I'm like, "Does it run itself?"
yeah,
"No, dumbass. You cut the pinch
right,
weld." There's no it's not everybody. I'm not throwing everybody on the
yeah,
bus, but it's very rare that we see somebody who's like, "Man, I fucked up. What do I do next time to not make this happen?" Not just
right,
throw the out with the bathwater because you didn't think through a process properly. You know what I mean? And so often it's like, "Oh, I got my bead failed, so it must be a urethane problem." Oh,
yeah,
maybe prep the glass right. I mean,
yeah,
maybe you didn't clean something correctly or "Oh, I got a leaky window, the bead sagged." It's like,
mhm,
dude, telling that picture, you ran too fucking fast across that roof line and you dipped
right,
up, and it's like, no, like, that's a big part of it. Like, for me, like, the reason I know it was the primer is because I went through my entire process, said, "Okay, where did I fuck up? Like,
right,
what part did I miss?" Because at that point,
Yeah.
like, that's the only way to get better is if I look at myself and say, "Hey, what can I change to
yeah,
do next time around?" And a lot of guys don't do that, and
yeah,
that's unfortunate for us in our industry, and I don't know if that's because so many of us, with the imposter syndrome a
yeah,
little bit, you know, or if it's maybe just, self-esteem issues or whatever, but, like, we've gotta start looking inward when we're
yeah,
doing this kind of stuff so we can say, "Hey, that everything from customer warranty to whatever, it doesn't matter how stupid it is. If a customer comes back because their car has some debris in there or they think
mhm,
it's dirty or there's a
yeah,
handprint on it, even a crazy customer can tell you something you can change about yourself. I mean, we've
yeah,
all got the kids come back and said, "Oh, you left handprints all over my A-pillars," and it's like, "Those aren't my handprints. My hands are a lot bigger than that."
right,
But we could when we were in there to prevent
yeah.
that situation, you know what I mean? It's like, there's little things that you could tweak and change to better yourself over time, and I think that we have to start looking. as an
Yeah.
industry, not outward.
Yeah, nah, you right with that, man. You got to have self-awareness. But I always tell people, talk to yourself when you're doing a job. Like, tell
Yeah.
yourself what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then that can kind of help minimize mistakes. But also just have the awareness and take time to yourself. Like we do a lot of work. We work long days, long hours, but take time to yourself to self-reflect and to actually understand what you're doing, understand your whys and whats and what you're doing and all that, and to try to get better, and that's the thing what comes with the
Mhm.
self-awareness.
100%,
Yep.
man.
Yep.
Agree with that.
Yeah, well, cool, brother. Well, we appreciate you for your time, for you blessing us with your presence, and giving us all this knowledge for what's coming up at Auto Glass Week. We gonna be excited to see you in Reno, and shout out to everybody who's competing. I think it's still time to register. I think it's almost like a month left on the registration for the competition. So, for anyone and everybody out there competing, go to autoglassweek.com so you can register. We'll be at Auto Glass Week. We want to see everybody there. And one thing that I want to see now from you mentioning it was your whole toolbox setup. So I want to walk around and actually see the toolbox setup from people because I think those are a work of art to see what people bring, how they bring it, and all that type stuff. So appreciate you and appreciate you, Drift, for your time and all the insight that y'all give and to help encouraging others to do the best possible job they can in the auto glass industry. So appreciate both of y'all for being the voice of the industry.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, no
And
problem, man. Y'all take care. So I
check out
got this.
Kurbo covers.